No, the idea for TEDx came from just being inspired by the TED website. We kept seeing great stuff coming out of different cities from all over the world, and we thought, we can do that here. We've got enough great people, enough great ideas worth spreading that we felt like we need to do that in Birmingham.
All right. So you're going to be the second TEDx to take place in Birmingham this year.
Yeah.
What's going to be different?
Well, the first TEDx Red Mountain, was focused on the recovery effort because we had just come out of the tornado, obviously one of the most devastating events in Alabama's history, and so it was dedicated specifically to how do we recover from that, and what are some of the ideas that we can do to do that. So for us, it's really more of kind of a broad, citywide, Birmingham-focused event where we're talking about ideas all over the city, and it's more diverse topics than specifically about one thing.
For folks who don't know what TED is,
yeah.
Go ahead and tell them what TED is.
Yeah, TED itself stands for Technology, Entertainment, and Design. It was a conference that started in the early 80s and has grown over the years, and it's become one of the most influential conferences in the world, bringing thinkers from all kinds of different subjects together. The idea is to spread ideas worth spreading, and that's the whole theme of the event, regardless of who's speaking. So you've got a bunch of people who are kind of experts in their field coming together to share one idea. You've got 18 minutes to talk about one idea that you want to spread. And then TEDx is just an offshoot of that. They're independently organized events that are licensed by the TED conference. So they're pretty heavily regulated and kind of controlled by TED and their brand, which is a great thing. We really like that. We get the opportunity to work with our own speakers and our own content under that TED name.
How will you be success with TEDx?
Yeah, that's a really good question. I think this being our first, this being the first TEDx Birmingham, some of that's to be determined. I think success for us looks like people talking at the event, and then that conversation carrying on after that. Obviously, we've got really great speakers lined up, so we think there's going to be some success in the actual content that's shared. But I think between conversations that get started and people who don't know each other in the city already, who meet each other there, I think there's some real value and real power in that. And that's part of what we hope to see happen, and we'll view that as a success if that happens. Yeah, we've got a guy named Matt Chambers that I'm really excited about. He's the founder of Confederate Motors, a company that builds handmade motorcycles here in Birmingham. A guy named Lee Meadows, who's talking about education and some of the things we need to do to improve our educational system. Tanveer Patel will be discussing entrepreneurship in our city and some of the challenges that we face and how to overcome those challenges. We've got a variety of musical performances that I'm really excited about. So we've got a good diversity of subjects that'll be talked about that day.
How is this going to be different from other efforts that have been undertaken in the city over the years to encourage conversation and ideas?
To be honest, I'm not really sure. I don't know. I think that's going to be kind of a day of kind of thing. We'll figure out. I think it's going to be determined by the attendees to see where they want to take that. And that's part of the thing for us, is to put it together, organize it, get the content there, and then whatever's made of it, that's kind of something we want to facilitate that and allow it to take whatever shape, whatever form that it needs to take, and just kind of do the best we can to allow it to happen and watch it grow from there.
Do you think conversations will happen as a result of the conference?
Yeah, absolutely. I think there will be conversations and relationships that will be formed. We've designed the day so that there's enough time in between, and then obviously there's time after for anyone who wants to continue that on. But I think the way that we've set up the schedule, hopefully there's enough time for conversation to happen throughout the day about things that are being talked about, so that there's enough of a relationship that can be formed to make that happen.
Do you think there's enough conversation going on currently in the city of Birmingham about some of the more pressing issues?
It's a great question. I'm not sure is the straight answer to that. I think we're a city that's growing a lot, we're changing a lot, we're developing, and I think we're just on the cusp of that. I wouldn't say there's not enough. I would say there's more to come. And I think that there's not really a positive or negative I put with that. It's just kind of where we are. And I think we're continuing to make more things happen together. But I think there'll be a lot more of it happening in the future compared to what's happening now.
What do you see as the most exciting thing happening right now in the city?
Oh man, the most exciting thing happening in Birmingham. There's a lot happening here, so I need to think about that. I mean, really, one of the most things I'm most excited about in Birmingham is Railroad Park. Things like Railroad Park, where we have venues to come together, and there's not really an agenda. There's not really anything. There's no reason. It's just there's a park, a beautiful, amazing park here. That you can go, you can walk around, there's events there, things like that are event driven and things that bring us together regardless of whether or not it sparks conversation, regardless of kind of its output. Just the fact that we are in one common place, those are the things that are exciting to me to see. The talk of new baseball park, that to me is like that's exciting. I really get excited about that because it's another reason for us to come together and spend time in the same area with each other.
Yeah, if you had one idea to bring people together that was not TEDx, what would it be?
So one non-TEDx idea, I think there's a lot of events for the large scale. I think there are events like TEDx, there's events like, there's a number of them out there that are kind of, let's bring a lot of people together. I think what I like to see more of is the small settings, the more intimate dinner settings, and trying to find ways to bring people around food and drink. I'm not sure what that idea is specifically yet, but I know there's something there. I've seen those kind of pop up in smaller venues and in photography studios and getting chefs to come prepare a meal for a small group of people. So I want to see that happen more. I'm kind of fleshing that idea out as to how do we make that happen and what does that look like.
What do you think is one of the biggest issues facing the city of Birmingham right now?
Education. Hands down, I think education is one of the most challenging subjects that we have. We hear a lot of talk about it. We've got some real hurdles politically. We've got some real hurdles just in the way that the system's been set up. And seeing that from a workforce development standpoint, that's what I think is more concerning, is the kind of outcome and output that we're producing in our schools. We've got some outstanding teachers. We've got some outstanding participants in the school system, but I think that's one of our biggest challenges. It's one of our biggest areas. Looking at how we perform as compared to the rest of the country, how we perform compared to the rest of the world, I think we've got some major improvements to make there. Well, I think as far as conversations go, I think right now we're still, and we've been here for a while. We've been figuring things out, and I think we've been trying to determine who we are as a city. We've had an identity for a long time, 50, 60 years that we're finally starting to grow out of, I think. That takes a long time. That's not something that we were going to easily overcome, so I think we're changing that identity. I hope that what it becomes is more about the actionable points. Like, what are the things? Okay, so now we've kind of had the big, broad discussion about who we're trying to become, and we've started to put in some things. Like, how does it get to a more in-depth level of, we want this and this and this in Birmingham, and now let's go do it, and let's not just talk about it.
What are some things that are going to be able to help make these conversations happen?
I think it's individuals deciding to take action. I think there's a lot of broad level conversation happening. I think we need more people leading those efforts and deciding, I'm just going to do this. I'm not going to wait for permission anymore. I'm not going to wait for somebody else to do it. I'm just going to do it. So I think, really, to get big things to happen, we need individuals to act. And obviously there's an action together, but somebody stepping up to lead an effort.
Are you more concerned about the conversations being held here? Mm-hmm. Or are you more concerned about about encouraging a conversation elsewhere as a result of TEDx either being live streamed or videos of those presentations being available?
Well, I think the first priority is definitely here. It's designed to be an event for the city of Birmingham to spark change and challenge here. I think the nature of TED is that the content spreads because we're talking about education, we're talking about manufacturing, we're talking about entrepreneurship. And some of the content there, it doesn't matter where you are. So I guess my initial priority and hope is that we know we can start it here, but because of the way TED works, there's a built-in audience in other parts of the country and in other parts of the world that the talks are going to cater to.
And do you think by posting some of these talks online afterwards, or even live streaming the event night of, do you think these talks in and of themselves can help change that image that some people feel
Absolutely.
people do.
Yeah, I think so. There's definitely an opportunity here to be highlighted as a city who's doing things. Because a lot of the stuff we're talking about is people who are taking what they've done. It's not theoretical. It's like, this is what I do, and here's my story, and we're building on top of that. So I think showcasing that, and there's part of the day that's just showcasing. It's talking about things that are happening here, and there's another part that's the challenge of what do we do as a result. So yeah, I think it casts Birmingham in a positive light when they see really sharp, really intelligent people who are doing things now and talking about how we do more of it.